because most people impulsively will acknowledge the legitimacy of the first premise. It's wrong to kill an innocent human being without proper justification. They'll impulsively agree. They'll say, well, of course, we all agree with that. That's why you have laws against murder. And then they want to deny that the unborn is an example of an innocent human being. And when they find out that science won't allow them to do that with integrity, then they want to go back and try to undo the first premise. Well, let's think of that first one. Maybe it is okay to kill human beings as long as they don't have some other thing. What's that? They don't have personhood. And that's the some human beings are not persons argument that was, as it turns out, was at the heart of the Dred Scott decision and is at the heart of ethnic cleansing. You can be a human being, but that doesn't make you a person that gets protected. So whenever anybody brings this point up, which now comes up quite frequently, well, they're not a person. Here's my question to them, and it's a question that not only you should ask, but they must answer. And the question is, what's the difference? What's the difference between a human being and a human person? And the reason they must answer this is they have just essentially told you that humanity can be divided into two groups. One group gets the full protection of the law, human persons, and the rest you can annihilate without any justification whatsoever, human non-persons. You don't need to have a good reason to have an abortion. You can just have it. It's called elective abortion. It's called choice. So if there is a group of human beings that we can kill at will, we better know what distinguishes them from those that we can't. Where's that dividing line? And here, and I'm going to go very quickly here because I want to get to calls, there's a very handy little acronym, and I can't remember the fellow who thought this up, but I'm going to just give the nod to him. Good job. The acronym is SLED, S-L-E-D, and each letter stands for another characteristic of an unborn child that some people think legitimately disqualifies them from being valuable. Now, I am suspicious of all personhood language in debates like this because I think personhood is just a legal trick. It is a trick that allows us using language to disqualify certain members of the human family from being bona fide members of the human community. We say, yeah, they might be human beings, but they don't have this personhood thing, so we can just get rid of them. And that's nasty stuff because history is littered with the wreckage of that kind of thinking. But the SLED, I think, is a way of showing explicitly that this way of looking at it is not sound. Size or appearance, level of development or ability, that's the L. Environment, E, or degree of dependency. Each one of these things are ways that people have tried to argue that the unborn human being is not a person and therefore is not worthy of protection. Size, they're just too small. But you notice when you say this that you are simply saying that size is what matters for human value. Well, they don't look like a human being. Of course they look like a human being. No, they don't. They look like every human being is supposed to look at that level of development, is my response. Human beings change over time. When you're little, you look one way, you're old, look another way, and in the middle, there's no... Those three areas of your life, old, young, in the middle, you look at pictures of yourself, you can't tell it's the same individual, but it is, because you know it's you. Size, level of development, these things are inconsequential to human value. What a person can do. Does a handicapped person have less value than someone who doesn't have that handicap? No, size or level of development are irrelevant. What about environment? Where one is at, like in the womb or out of the womb? This is another way people have argued. All right, look, if you're a valuable human being, at the spot you're at now, do you lose your value when you walk across the street? When you roll over in bed? So how is it, if that doesn't happen with you, then how is it that baby somehow, has this miraculous transformation through a 7-inch journey down the birth canal that transforms it from a non-valuable human being to a valuable human being we ought to protect. Location is trivial on this issue. What difference does it make? Which is why, by the way, Peter Singer, the ethicist at, is it Yale? Princeton? Princeton. Is that right, Princeton? Thinks it should be okay to kill newborns. Because he agrees that the 7-inch journey down the birth canal is not relevant to the value. Location does not determine significance. Now, he's just reasoning logically. If you can kill the baby inside the womb and location is irrelevant, we should be able to kill the baby outside of the womb. By converse, if you can't kill the baby outside of the womb, and that is not right, then moving the baby 7 inches over inside of the womb, the very same baby, by the way, how does that make it okay to kill that baby? Do you see how ludicrous that is? So environment has nothing to do with the value. And finally, size, level of development, environment, D, SLED, D, degree of dependency. Some people think, well, the baby's not viable, certain stages of development so that we can take that life. Well, why does dependency disqualify someone from their value? Aren't we more aware of the value of a human being the more dependent they are? It's just lunacy to me that you would think, okay, well, there's a nice, healthy, strapping individual. Here's another one that we got to, take care of. They can't survive on their own. Well, why does that mean we can execute them? So, by the way, no baby can survive on its own outside of the womb. I'm not sure if you realize that. If you're a mother or a dad, you know that. Some of you had teenagers that still can't survive on their own outside of the womb. Some of you have husbands that still can't survive on their own outside of the womb. Neither size, nor level of development, nor environment, nor degree of dependency are adequate to disqualify any bona fide human being from their inherent, innate human value. This human being personhood, human person distinction is completely illegitimate. So the argument stands, it's still wrong to take the life of any valuable innocent human being without proper justification. Abortion does that because the reasons that people have abortions are not the reasons we would kill anybody else. Therefore, abortion is wrong. That is the logic of the pro-life position. If you want more details, you can find it at Making Abortion Unthinkable, The Art of Pro-Life Persuasion, available at Stand to Reason, or you can just go to our website and just type in abortion. You'll find lots of things there that have been written and are free that will help you to work through the issue in a clear way.